This is a demo for the Golden AMI. So basically, what it is I will be building a Golden AMI image using EC2 Image Builder with from Amazon. So first things first, where you how you locate the tool is first by navigating to the AWS website, clicking on Services, and then you can either choose it under Compute or type in EC2 Image Builder. Then it will take you to a page, this one here, and you just need to start to create your image pipeline. You just click create, create image pipeline, and then you come to a page where it gives you the option of defining your recipe. So the kind of like analogy that I kind of like use to help me think about this is think of your baked AMI, your AMI that has been baked. Is made of like an assortment of ingredients or components. So the main ingredient is is your source image, and then like the components that configure it to a specific need or to do a specific job is like the seasoning. So in this case, like your main component or your main ingredient is Ubuntu. And then you can further customize it to basically choose whether you want it to be Ubuntu 16, 18, or 20. In this case, I'm using Ubuntu 18, and I like to personally use the latest build versions because they're the most up to date and decreases the risk of having vulnerabilities. So I'm choosing Ubuntu Server 18, version 8.10 or 8.10, and this is the latest one that's available. Always build latest version. Now I'm going to specify the storage, the type of EBS volume. So the max I think you can have on the free tier is 30 gigabytes. No, the max is 30 gigabytes on the free tier. So yeah, it's always good to have enough memory. And now we have the build components and the test components. What it is, like I said before, is the build components are, in this case, a number of components which are like YAML scripts, which wrap around bash commands or even bash scripts themselves, which are stored in S3 buckets, which can be which can be downloaded onto the operating system and then run, and then it makes necessary changes. So to recap, you have the build components, which are basically YAML, which is basically YAML scripts, which then run bash commands, which then makes the necessary configurations to the operating system, and well, in this case, it will harden it. In the other option is basically writing a bash script that does the job that you need to do, store it in an S3 bucket. The YAML script will download it. Will download the file from S3 and install it on the operating system and then run it. So you have those two options, and then you got tests, which is basically like a test component is basically a component where you write a script that tests whether or not a build component has done the job that it needs to do. This is open-ended. You don't have to make a test component. You can have different ways of testing whether or not the AMI was built correctly. But yeah, it's still a good option to have. So what I would do very quickly is just show you what happens when you try and create a build component. So you create build, and I believe I have a tab open. Yes, I do. So pretty much what it is when you create build, it will open up a tab like this one, exactly like this one. So then you've basically got all the component details here. So obviously the operating system is Linux. You'll select the type to be Ubuntu 18 because that's the one that you are making the component for, to be specific to. You can set the component version. In this case, this has got to be like 1.1.8. The component name. The one that I have in mind, a component to build, would be a SSHD component that configures the SSHD config file. So just bear with me while I locate the file and paste it in. We'll write it actually. Okay, so I've just gone and pasted in the necessary. Well, I've pasted in the YAML script that runs the bash command that configures the SSHD config file. So pretty much, like I said before, you name it, you give it a component version, you can give a description, you can also give a description about the component version. And then you kind of have like three options here actually. So if I can come off this, you can just define the document in just YAML, or you can just create a build component, or you can create a test example. And obviously, if you click off this option, it resets everything, which is fine. So I'm just going to paste it back in here, the code. So in this case, we'll change this to SSHD config configuration. So you name it, the YAML script, you put a description, you set the version, and then basically it kind of runs like a job in the YAML script, and these are the bash commands that are used. So without any, yeah, so that's pretty much all we need now. So we can create it. Yeah, so the build component has now been created successfully. So now we can navigate back to here, and I'm just going to select all the necessary components that we need. Yeah, and just also seems to have reset itself. So also for some reason the size on the EBS will reset itself, so I've just changed it back. So I'm just going to select all the necessary build components. Okay, so I've selected all the necessary build components, and I'm just going to press next. Now we gotta basically just name the pipeline. So it comes to a page where it's like configure the pipeline. So you give your pipeline a name. Mine is like a test line. Great, I think this is like my third attempt. Practice makes perfect. Select a role. Insert your image builder. You can give a description if you want. And then you also set the build schedule. So this one I've set it to manual. So you actually have to basically click buttons to get it to run. Other times you can schedule it, or you can control it with like a cron expression. So like a cron job. So like, if you're trying to edit the contact file and whatnot. But in this case, we're just going to use manual because it's a lot easier. And this is just a simple example. So you can also set like the instance type. So like you can set it to T2, T3. We don't need to set like an SNS topic. For the VPC subnet security groups, you just choose the default VPC. Any subnet should work. And security groups, you can create your own security group, or if you have a pre-configured one, as long as you have access to the test to the key to allow you to SSH into the EC2 instance, that's fine. In my case, I just made my own security group just for test-related purposes. So yeah, so this is my one. Also, you can actually set troubleshooting settings. So what you can do, this is pretty interesting, is basically you can, let me just set the key pair as well. So I set my key pair. This is my own. So what it is that you can upload log files from the build process of the pipeline to a S3 bucket. So you can check the log files if you've got an error or whatnot, if the build doesn't work as expected. So yeah. So I'm just going to select the bucket now. Okay, so we've got the bucket. We've selected our bucket which we want to use. I'm just going to press next. And so we don't need to configure the associate license configuration to the AMI. I'm just going to give the AMI a name. Just today's date, I guess. Yeah, today's date should be okay. Test. Yeah. AMI tag name. I'm just gonna give it my name so everyone knows it's me, that this is my AMI. Then yeah, that's it. Yeah, and keep these settings the same. So you go to review. So just reviewing everything. Double check that you've configured everything as like how you've wanted, that you've got the right build components, you've set the right storage details, configuration details, any additional settings, and then just create the pipeline. So this will take like a couple of seconds, maybe up to a minute. Fail to create pipeline. May not be empty. Okay, right. I'm not quite sure why that isn't working. I'll just remove the tag for now. We don't really need the tag. We can still locate the AMI without it. Okay, so the pipeline has been created correctly now. So I'll just go to view details, and what it is now we go to actions, and you can either run or disable the pipeline. In this case, you can just run the pipeline. So yeah, the pipeline has been successfully run. So now it's building a recipe and the AMI that goes with it. So this should now change from pending to building to testing to finally available. But this takes about an hour. So I'm not going to keep you that long and watch the build process do its thing. I'm just going to take you to a previously created pipeline and show you what the results are, what the results were. Was it here? Yes. So this is the previous one that I've created, the test pipeline. So as you can see, it's enabled. It's generated an output image. So I'm just gonna click here to show you what it is. And so this is the AMI image, and this is the name that it's been given. So I think it's worthwhile that I also navigate to EC2 and show you how to basically raise this an EC2 instance from the AMI as well. So I'm just gonna take the AMI name, or the AMI ID actually, and navigate to EC2. So you basically just click services, click on EC2. You're back on EC2. Scroll down the dashboard to images, and under that, select AMIs. You just search for the AMI, and then from there you've got your AMI, and you just click launch, and you just go through the normal process of creating a EC2 instance. So I think it was what was it? I believe I set a T3 large. Okay, keep all of these settings the same. Yeah, that stays the same. And I'll just give it a name. My name. Little pet project. um, I'm just basically just making this very, very basic, so I can just get in, run an audit, and then just remove myself afterwards. Yeah, launch. So while that's pending, we also just have this one here, the one that I previously created yesterday. That is up and running. So I can just navigate, I can just SSH into that very quickly. So if I just, yeah. Note, for some reason, it has the root. It will try and log you in as root. That needs to be changed to Ubuntu while you're SSHing in. Most likely, well, not most likely, I will over time basically amend that setting, see to amend that setting in the build process. And then here we go, we're in. SI and we're root. So another tool that was installed was Linus, which is like a vulnerability scanner. So there's two ways that I am using as like a benchmark to test the how should I say, the strength of the AMI against security threats. So I'm using Linux to scan for. So I'm using Linux and AWS Inspector. So I'm just going to use Linux to scan for vulnerabilities, and afterwards you get like a score, like a hardening index score, which kind of shows you how well it's been hardened against well, just outside threats. So so I'll just get down to it and just use the command Linux audit system. So Linux was actually a build component, which so Linux was installed via using a build component that installed and configured Linux on this AMI. So right now it's running. It's taking its time. So it takes a little bit of time. Okay, not that much time, but so the scan's done. As you can see here, it's received a hardening index score of 82. So about 82% of, oh, 82 out of 100, 82% of the server has been hardened against threats. It's performed about 243 different tests. And obviously it's not perfect. So like there's suggestions, no warnings, so that's great. Suggestions of how to make it a bit more secure. So obviously that will be taken on board in time and made and will be made use of to try and make this more secure. But now that's the first test. We're going to navigate to the second test in AWS Inspector. Um, so I'm just going to go here. And so pretty much, what it is when you open up Inspector, you get the dashboard, and it's like you can create an assessment of your own or use pre-configured ones. I decided to use a pre-configured one because it just tests against pretty much everything that a EC2 instance would kind of like face in the terms of like basically hacking attempts and whatnot. So pretty much what it is like it has like a collection of like rule packages, and it basically scans the instance against these rules and sees whether or not it's compliant. So how you first start off is you configure your assessment targets. So if I click preview, it's already got an assessment target selected, which is the EC2 instance that I just showed now. So that's fine. But if you want to install an agent, you can either do it via the command line where you do use a wget and you download it, or you can install the agents with the run command. And so there's either two. So you can just press that and it just automatically installs agents on any EC2 instance within the VPC that it's scanning. Now you go to assessment templates when you actually want to select a template and basically run it. And that's pretty much it. You can preview your targets again. Here's our one selected. You can also preview exclusions or EC2 instance that could be excluded from this. It doesn't seem to have any, or it's not loading up anything. But that's not a primary concern right now. And pretty much once you're done and you're ready, just press run. And the scan is done. So it's running, but it will run for about an hour. So once again, I will not keep you that long. So it's collecting data now. So I've gone to assessment runs and it's collecting data. But the one that I ran previously was, I believe, this one. Yes, it was this one. Yeah. So pretty much what it is that it, after it's done collecting data from the EC2 instance and scanning it, it compiles everything into a report. So I am just going to, and I apologize. Basically what it is it has like it counts the findings that it counts like everything that it finds, and then it rates it in the rank of high, medium, low, and informational. So there's like it compiles everything and just grades it, like saying like, oh, this is a high threat, this is a low threat, this is a medium threat, and that's pretty useful. So I'm just going to download the report here, the findings report, because it's more concise. And here it is. So what I want to bring to your attention is basically the rule packages that we have here. So there's the sys operating system security configuration, common vulnerabilities and exposures, network reachability, security best practices. So my personal proud moment is that I basically have been able to configure I've basically been able to build an AMI where it's actually quite difficult for it to be accessed outside its own network from external threats. It also, because it's had zero high findings, zero medium findings, and zero low findings, and just 5 informational. So it's just maybe like a reference to something, or maybe like a recommendation, but not an actual threat. And also, it's had like zero high findings, 1 medium finding. This is a security best practice now, and like zero low findings for the security best practice as well. Although for the common vulnerabilities, it could have been a bit better. So we've had 4 high findings, 1 medium, 1 low, 0 informational. But these are still early days, and this can be improved over time. Though for the sys operating system configuration, we've had 73 high findings, 0 medium, 0 low. So from this assessment, I can say between the two tools that I've used, I can say like maybe we've created not quite a golden AMI, but definitely a bronze, moving to a silver one. And I would say maybe another 2 months of just building the pipeline continuously, it will probably reach it will reach a level where it can truly be called a golden AMI. This pretty much concludes the end of my presentation. Though I do want to show you 1 or 2 like quick things. So I said in S3 you can store files, and pretty much you can store bash script files and then download them onto the AMI while it's building, and then configure it. So I did that for the kernel, for a kernel script, which basically which hardens the kernel. So if I just open this here and open it here, this is the file that I created for it, and this just gets downloaded onto the Ubuntu server operating system, and then it deletes the old file and then reconfigures it with this new one, and then it's hardened. Another thing that I wanted to show you is that I also configured the Linux build component, which installs Linux, to also have 2 additional components where it, after running a system audit, it will upload the log files it's created up to S3, which is good for like extra logging, and also an extra add-on we're probably trying to see if the data can be analyzed in Security Hub. So there's lots of thought for improvement and new developments.